The first time Maya saw him, he was arguing with the school's front desk about a lunch bill. She had just transferred to Riverside Elementary as the new third-grade teacher, boxes still unpacked, coffee still hot in her travel mug. But she stopped walking the moment she heard his voice, not because it was loud, but because it was tired. The kind of tired that lives deep in a man's bones. He was tall, dark-haired, wearing a worn denim jacket and work boots scuffed at the toes. His hands were wrapped around a crumpled envelope, and he was quietly explaining to the receptionist that he would pay the remaining balance on Friday. Just please, make sure his daughter got a hot meal today. Maya didn't think. She just walked to the counter and handed over her card. He turned to look at her. His eyes, dark brown, sharp, and unexpectedly warm, studied her like she was a puzzle he hadn't expected to find interesting. "I don't take charity," he said flatly. "It's not charity," she replied without missing a beat. "Consider it a welcome gift. I'm the new teacher. And your daughter is apparently in my class." His name was Dominic Reyes. She learned that much from the sign-in sheet. He picked up his daughter Lily every afternoon at exactly 3:15, never late, never distracted by his phone, always crouched down to Lily's level with the kind of focused attention most parents never gave. Maya began noticing things. The way Lily's uniform was always pressed perfectly, even if it was slightly faded. The way Dominic packed her lunch with handwritten notes tucked beneath the sandwich. The way he never talked about himself, not once, in all the brief exchanges they shared at the school gate. They became friends the way quiet people do, slowly, over borrowed umbrellas and shared benches and conversations that always somehow ran 10 minutes longer than either of them planned. He told her he worked in construction management. She didn't ask more. She wasn't looking for a man with money. She was looking for a man with character, and Dominic Reyes had it in abundance. They dated for 8 months before he proposed, modestly, on a Tuesday evening, with a simple silver band and Lily standing beside him holding a hand-drawn sign that said, "Please say yes so we can keep her." Maya laughed until she cried and said yes 3 times just to be sure. The wedding was small. 30 people. A rented hall. Paper flowers that Lily made herself. Maya wore her mother's dress, altered at the waist, and thought it was the most beautiful day of her life. She had no idea her life was about to be completely rewritten. It started with a phone call she wasn't supposed to hear. 3 weeks into their marriage, Maya woke at 2 a.m. to find Dominic's side of the bed empty. She patted down the hallway, half asleep, following the low murmur of his voice to the kitchen. He stood at the window, back to her, speaking in a tone she had never heard before, measured, commanding, completely precise. "Move the Singapore acquisition to Q3. Tell Marcus the board doesn't vote until I'm in the room. And freeze the Harlow account until I've reviewed the full audit." Maya stood frozen in the doorway. He turned and saw her. For one long second, something flashed across his face, not guilt, but something closer to grief, like a man watching something precious slip through his fingers. He ended the call. Set the phone face down on the counter. And exhaled slowly. "Dominic," she whispered. "What was that?" He pulled out a chair at the kitchen table and sat down. Then he told her everything. Dominic Reyes was not a construction manager. He was the founder and silent owner of Reyes Global, a private infrastructure and investment empire worth an estimated $4.7 billion, operating across 11 countries. He had built it from nothing, starting at 19 with a $400 loan and a salvage truck, and had grown it into something so large it now moved quietly behind governments and skylines and technology the world used every day. The denim jacket, the scuffed boots, the lunch payment argument, none of it was an act. He had chosen to live simply, deliberately, after his first marriage collapsed under the weight of wealth and pretense. He had watched money turn people into strangers. He had watched himself become someone his daughter was afraid of. So he stepped back. Moved into a modest house. Drove an old truck. kept Lily's world small and warm and real. And he had sworn he would never again bring a woman into his life who wanted the empire instead of the man. He had needed to know Maya loved him. She sat across the table for a long time without speaking. She thought about the crumpled envelope at the school counter. The handwritten lunch notes. The Tuesday proposal with paper flowers. She thought about the man who crouched down to his daughter's level every single afternoon, who had never once made her feel less than the center of his world. Then she reached across the table and took his hand, the one with the calluses that no billionaire was supposed to have. "You could have told me," she said quietly. "I know," he said. "I was afraid." "Of what?" He looked at her the way he had the very first day, like she was a puzzle he was grateful to finally understand. "Of losing the only real thing I'd found in a very long time." Maya squeezed his hand and didn't let go. "Because some men hide their wealth." But Dominic had been hiding something far more rare, a heart that had never forgotten where it came from. And that is why you never judge a man by his jacket. If this story moved you, share it with someone who needs to hear it today. Subscribe for a new powerful story every single week, because the best ones are always just getting started.